In other news coming out of the Biden administration, we have trade talks with Taiwan. It was announced today that the United States will hold trade talks with Taiwan in the wake of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island this month. Pelosi is the highest-ranking American official to visit the island in 25 years. The announcement of trade talks comes after Beijing fired missiles into the sea to intimidate Taiwan after Pelosi's trip was reported by the media. The talks are a sign of support for the island's democracy that China claims as its own territory. Beijing promptly responded that it will take action if necessary to safeguard its sovereignty. Chinese President Xi Jinping's government criticized the planned talks, claiming that they're a violation of its stance that Taiwan has no right to foreign relations. It warned Washington to not encourage the island to try to make its own de facto independence permanent, a step Beijing says would lead to war. Taiwan's military held a drill with missiles and cannons simulating a response to a Chinese missile attack. President Joe Biden's coordinator for the Indo-Pacific region, Kurt Campbell, said last week that the trade talks would, quote, deepen our ties with Taiwan, but stressed policy wasn't changing. Maybe talking a little bit both sides out of their mouth here on this one, but we'll see. Honestly, actually, we need to talk about that. So for the last 60 years or so, the United States has practiced a policy of strategic ambiguity, where it said one thing, kind of did another, kind of massaged China, kind of helped Taiwan, and created this like, are they together? Are they not together? Is Taiwan an independent country? Is it not an independent country? And to me personally, this is just acknowledging the actual status quo. It's no longer couching it in a veneer of, you know, will they, won't they kind of situation here. So I don't see this as much of a change, especially since the United States trades with Taiwan and has been for the last 30-40 years, helped build Taiwan's economy in response to China's, and has strategic ties with Taiwan and the like. So I don't see this as much of a change, but saying it out loud, kind of pissing China off. But let's continue on. So the U.S. Trade Representative's announcement of the talks made no mention of the tension with Beijing, but said, quote, formal negotiations would develop trade and regulatory ties. The United States has no diplomatic relations with Taiwan, its 9th largest trading partner, but maintains extensive informal ties. Like I said, saying the quiet part out loud now. Being allowed to export more to the United States might help Taiwan blunt China's efforts to use its status as the island's biggest trading partner as political leverage. Taiwan's foreign ministry expressed, quote, high welcome for the trade talks, which it said will lead to a new page in relations with the United States. U.S.-Chinese relations are at their lowest level in decades, amid disputes over trade, security, technology, and Beijing's treatment of Muslim minorities and of Hong Kong. Now, this is important to state as well. Under the Obama administration, a strategic pivot from the Middle East to China was underway. ISIS kind of got in the way of that, you know, the little thing about some terrorists taking over some territory. But that strategic vision as far as a comprehensive foreign policy focus, especially among classic foreign policy, realpolitik people, continued on. And it exacerbated with Trump. Exacerbated might not be the right word, but you understand what I'm saying. And so with these ties being developed, this is a continuation, as I said, of policy that's going back 50 years or so. Or we can say at least 10 years. We'll say at least 10 years. But it's happened under Bush and it's happened under Obama. So we can say at least 10 years. And it isn't a bad thing. I think that nobody wants war with China, so don't get me wrong. But I think that countering Chinese influence in the right way, in the entire, as far as trade and strategic relations is concerned, is going to ultimately play out in the favor of the United States and help the world move away from autocracy and more into a democratic camp. Because China doesn't give a fuck. China will work with anybody, even more so than the United States does when it comes to autocracy. As long as they're getting paid, they don't care. And if we strengthen those ties, because the United States is, at least nominally, I'll say it is, but at least nominally a democracy where the will of the people is listened to a degree, then it would be less likely that other countries that are within the sphere of influence of the United States would go around and start, being a dictatorship. We can quibble about, specifics like Saudi Arabia and how we've been trade partners with China, yada, yada, yada. But we don't want to see people to look at the Chinese system and see that as a way forward necessarily, because of what China does with its own people. And if you're at all a leftist, you should be against that as well. Yeah, that's a great comment. Ishala said, "One China until we need computer chips for those 3090 Ti's." That's true. True. All right, continuing on though. So the U.S. Trade Representative said negotiations would be conducted under the auspices of Washington's unofficial embassy, the American Institute in Taiwan. Washington says that it takes no position on the status of China and Taiwan, but wants their dispute settled peacefully. The United States government is obligated by federal law to see that the island has the means to defend itself.